news,
Lobbyists are fed up with politicians accepting their money and then not coming through.
opinion,
When the automated police force orders you inside, that's just them doing their job.
remix.
Even lost my job partially due to the whole global warming issue. Increase in oil prices. This guy's scared.
This is Top Story with Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen,
I've been a listener for about 20 years.
I'm talking to you makes me feel better.
where the news meets your opinion. Pick up the phone and talk about it. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story, 736-0300. Always the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
So, how was your Saturday at the farmer's market?
Well, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming out. My
You're welcome.
friend Kelly came out. Someone asked me if you got some potato salad because I was dishing out my potato salad. I'm like, oh yeah, Kelly gets potato salad.
Of course.
Of course. Kelly's not passing up my food.
No.
So anyway, no, it was a lot of fun, and they had the chef cook off, and that was fun. And it's a great environment, so it's a good time.
Yeah, lots of good stuff there
Oh yeah.
for sale, and it's just kind of a fun time.
All the great produce. I think I dished out 80 little samples of my potato salad.
How many?
80.
No kidding.
Yeah, because I had, I counted how many spoons I had left. I know how many I had, like 110. I had a pack of 100 and then some left over, and I only have 30 left, so.
Well, so that would be
No, 110.
Oh, 110. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, very
anyway,
cool.
yeah. So it was nice. It's a fun environment. So I'll probably do it again. Maybe not in August because some people are like, well, I don't cook. It's too hot to cook. And I'm thinking with Comfort Food Gets a Vegan Makeover title, it might be more fall. So maybe September, October. I think it's more seasonal sounding.
I don't think as many people cook now anyway, period.
It's sad. I look at them, I go, well, how do you eat? Like, what do you eat when they go, well, I don't cook. I hate to cook. What do you eat then? I don't understand that. I mean, I'm cooking, how many meals a week? 14 meals a week. Tom makes breakfast. Like, it's how do you, I don't understand
we've talked about
that.
this before. Now people can go to the grocery store even and just get pre-prepared stuff or restaurant takeout or restaurant drive-through.
I know, but it's so much healthier to eat at home, and you know what's in your food.
Well,
and
I know that, and they
faster,
know that,
and
but it's just not as convenient.
Cheaper, and
I understand.
So anyway,
I think
it's education.
I think if the restaurants of the country closed down today,
everyone would starve.
We would starve to death. I think we really would.
Well, I do know when they have those big storms, and shut down the people, they buy milk, bread, and eggs. So they all just know how to make French toast.
Yeah, I guess
so maybe they'd eat cereal and French toast.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm like, of course you got to eat. Come on.
Well, we have coming up, we're going to be talking about the monster truck show coming up at the Twin Falls County Fair this year. That'll be at 8:30.
Is that the first time they've had that?
No, I don't think so. No, there's been monster truck shows there before.
But not recently, have I don't remember
Doesn't
seeing
seem
it.
like,
yeah,
I don't
like
remember
it's been a
one.
while.
Yeah, it has been a while since there's been a monster truck. I don't really follow them, but it just doesn't seem like there's been any.
Yeah, I
for
don't
a
remember
while.
hearing that.
Yeah.
And I saw it on TV, the little promo. I was like, wow, those are huge. They're monsters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, those guys and gals, they got a lot of money soaked into those machines.
Oh.
Wow.
Where do you get tires that size?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I don't think you can get them at the local dime store.
No, I don't think so.
And they are costly.
Oh, my.
And they are big bucks.
We'll find out more. Yeah.
It'll probably cost them as much to put tires on those as it does you and I to go down and buy a car.
Oh, I think so.
So, at any rate.
They're huge.
Then at 8:40, we have Randy Staples with the Idaho political update. So.
Yeah, the harmony is continuing.
Well,
Or should I say disharmony? So anyway, I think this soap opera is continuing.
We'll have more to talk to with
Steve
Millington tomorrow, too.
Mm-hmm. Keep the music cued.
Well,
as
anyway,
the Republican Party turns.
We'll see what's happening. And next hour, we're going to be talking about the mess in Ferguson, Missouri. Gosh, what would you do? Now they've called in the National Guard.
What would I do as governor? Like I said, I think it was just the tipping point, and there is a lot of anger and a lot of distrust, and it's I think it just sent them over the edge.
Well, we'll talk about that during the 9 o'clock hour, so you'll be able to tell us what you would do to quell the situation out in Ferguson, Missouri. It
was quelled the other night. It was quelled, and then they released the name of the officer, and then they released that video acting like that was the reason. And they were two separate things, and then it started up again. And man, oh man, oh man.
Well, I don't know. And a lot of people are just participating in that because it's something to do. And a lot of them aren't even from that area. So, you know what?
No, but there's
it's just
definitely, we've got issues in this country.
We had some protesters at the bridge over the weekend.
I have to say, I couldn't believe it. I heard that because Joy Pruitt was taking photos at the farmer's market, and I said, oh, what are you doing the rest of the day? She goes, oh, there's some protesters on the front bridge. I'm like, you're kidding me. What for? And I have to say, you're kidding me. It's shameful.
Well, we
all have a right to protest.
We do, and they were protesting the fact that, they were protesting the fact of the situation we have on the southern border right now. A lot of people coming into this country illegally. And so, they have their right to protest just like anybody else does. But I thought it was we don't often have protests around here.
We haven't had too many that I remember.
There's been a few in the past, but not very many.
Anything going on the southern border, you're like, President Obama's not doing his job. It's like, I'm sorry, Congress left town without addressing the situation on the southern border. So who's not doing their job? Go call Crepo and call Risch and call Simpson and say, hey, why didn't you guys deal with this before you left for your 5-week vacation? And it's not about the security of the southern border because, frankly, the people that are coming from Central America are running to border agents. It's not like they're trying to sneak in. They're trying to escape a situation. But our Congress did nothing before they left for vacation, so you wonder who's not doing their job.
So anyway, that, who was it that said the world is coming apart? Maybe it was me who said that. 7360300.
Oh, that wise old sage, Kelly Clapp.
Tom Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I wish you would stop saying that the Congress does nothing when they do stuff and pass stuff over and over, and Reid won't do anything or pass anything, or Obama says no matter what you say, we're going to veto it. We've said over and over, let's secure the border.
That's not the issue here. Congress did not.
You need to get and plug up the hole before you get out the mop.
That is not the problem that's going on here. And Congress did not vote on this. The president can't do it alone. And the 55 bills to defund Obamacare, yes, I'm sure is in Harry Reid's desk. And you know what? And they should be.
But the president's policies and the way he's treated the southern border has brought this on. I mean,
it has not.
Yes, he has. He has not paid any attention to illegals coming into this country.
That is not
He's
true.
looking for them to come in here and vote for him or vote for the Democratic Party. Hey, you know what? It's just
that is not true.
He has ignored it until it reached this point, and now he doesn't know what to do. So what does he do? He goes on vacation. That's what he does.
He's back in Washington today, but this is not because of the southern border hasn't been secure. It has never been more secure. He has never deported more people than any other president.
We don't even have the fence they were supposed to build.
The fence isn't stopping people. These people are from Central America that are trying to leave a situation. They're basically, a lot of them should be considered refugees, and it's a humanitarian issue. This is not security of the southern border when they're running to border agents. I mean, come on. Congress didn't vote on this, and they haven't dealt with it, and yeah, they didn't do their job.
He brought this on himself.
No, he absolutely did not.
There, and now this is a law that he can handle.
This is a law that George Bush passed in 2008. This was a law that George Bush passed in 2008. Congress didn't deal with it, and they left on vacation.
So did the president. 7360300.
Well, he's not allowed to pass laws on his own because he's being sued.
That hasn't stopped him.
Where's Congress?
Come on.
Where's Congress?
Where's the president?
Hey, the president's there. He doesn't write his own bills.
He's ignored it.
He has not ignored it. Are you kidding me?
7360300. Top Story, you're on the air.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, lovely Jill.
Good morning.
Listen, let's stop hiding behind. Let's stop being name calling and whatever. Let's call a spade a spade. racism. They don't like the brown people because that's why oh yeah, shut down the border. How come the Canadian border is not? They capture a couple of terrorists coming through there, but let's leave that alone just to show you how much preference there is. Bundy, then the militia show up to help them against the government. Where are the militias right now in Missouri? I don't see them nowhere to protest the government. Why? Because they're black. Yeah, that's right.
Where are the tens of thousands of people coming across the Canadian border?
What? I can show you 5 Canadians are illegally here. 5. And you know what?
5?
These people are coming from
where
Central
are the
America.
thousands like are coming across the southern border? If there are thousands of them coming across the Canadian border, we should be there too. But we're not even at the southern border.
Hey, Charlie, you want to take a trip with me down there? I'll take you down there, and I'll show you how hard it is to get through. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you because we've been there. We've given them water. So stop with this thousands of people. If you haven't been there, if you haven't gotten up your little ranch out there on the south of Tulane, then just that's what triggered my anger, ignorance. Please don't be so ignorant, Kelly. Bye.
Wow.
Well,
you know what? You are so confused. I don't even know what to say. There are literally tens of thousands of people coming across the southern border. If they were coming across the northern border, then yeah, we should be there too. But because they are people of color, then we're just supposed to let it happen. No, it's not a color thing. It's not a racist thing. It's a country thing, for crying out loud.
This is not just illegal immigration. This is humanitarian crisis. This was a law that was passed by George W. Bush in 2008 that anyone other than from Mexico, if these people are coming from Central America, they're entitled to a hearing. And that's what's going on. And Congress did not vote on this. They did not give more money for this crisis, more judges to process these people faster. So you know what? You can protest your senators and your congressmen, and that's who you should be talking to. Why didn't they do something before they left on vacation? And they had every opportunity to do it. But no, they spent their time passing a bill to sue the president.
You know, the president could be visiting these countries too, but he has not been doing that.
They have
been visiting the countries.
They have been.
The president has not.
Vice President Biden, who is part of the administration.
Are you kidding me?
The Department of Health and Human Services, Jay Johnson's been down there. I mean, the president can't be everywhere. So, you know what? They are trying to deal with it.
He's certainly making it to all of the golf courses
in
the country.
Where's the Congress? Where's Congress? Sorry, you're upset about the border? Don't protest there. Go call your congressman and say, why didn't you do something about it?
736-0300, top story, you're on the air.
Just to get the facts straight, all of these busloads of minors coming in from Central America didn't come in specifically because they're refugees to escape bad conditions, even though there are bad conditions. They specifically came because they misunderstood what the DREAM Act said and thought that any minor that could touch on United States soil could stay. That's specifically a proven fact.
These people
everybody agrees on.
That's not what everybody agrees on.
Yes, they do. No,
they don't.
From the government. And then even Obama had to come out with a statement that said, no, you have to go back.
They're also leaving the situations in their countries that's happening. My gosh, the violence they have in their countries.
We'll be right back. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story, and you've heard us talking about the Lowen honey loader, no doubt, how it will load manure, liquid, frozen, dry. It just doesn't make any difference to the Lowen honey loader. And if you live on or own or operate a large feedlot or dairy operation, you might find one of these very, very handy. And if you would like to see one of these in operation, you can call Pat Hartzell with Stanley & Company, and he can arrange it so you can see one of these when it's being operated on one of these places that have one. I mean, they have a huge inventory of Lowen parts in stock should you ever need any at Stanley & Company. They have on-site service, and Pat Hartzell is the guy to call, 280-1167. That's 280-1167, the number to call for Pat Hartzell of Stanley & Company and the Lowen Honey Loader. All right, back to our conversation on the southern border. Top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Kelly and Jill. Jill, you claim to be well-read and everything. Do you know that there's laws on the books that border has to be secure, but Obama refuses to do it, so he is not doing his job. Congress does not have to do anything. The laws are already there. And those border agents that got killed the other day while fishing, those two guys had been arrested 3 or 4 times and deported and come back, and it only takes twice, and they're supposed to be in prison. So Obama has refused to enforce the laws that are on the books. So don't blame it on the Congress.
I am blaming on this is different than what's going on the southern border, and it hasn't been more secure ever under any president. He has more patrols down there. He has deported more people than any president. And the issue that I assume that people are protesting were all the people coming from Central America. That law and that situation was a law that Congress was supposed to look at, was supposed to pass, was supposed to deal with, and they didn't. They left on vacation. So you can look that one up.
I don't know.
They were going to put more money into more judges to process these people. They were going to try to get rid of them. I think the Republicans were talking about revoking the 2008 law. If y'all don't remember that, that's the situation. They didn't do anything. All they did was vote to sue the president, and that's what they did before they left for vacation. Call up your senators and representatives and ask them.
Had the law been being enforced and had the president been enforcing the border, this would not have happened.
That is not true.
People think they can just walk across the border, and heck, they're even running ads down in those countries saying, hey, come up to America. Once you get in, you're in. Now, the president could do something about that if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to.
These
because
kids
he
that are
they
coming
should just
up,
be able to come over and then in the future vote for Democrats.
That is the most ignorant statement.
No,
that is not what's happening. These kids that are coming here, a lot of them unaccompanied by their parents because their parents are so desperate to put them in a safe place, need now a hearing. Congress was supposed to vote on bills to get more judges down there to process these kids faster, whether they're refugees, whether they're need to be sent back, whatever. They now are required to process them. That's the problem.
If the president really wanted to do that, he could do an executive order like he did for everything else.
He just got sued by Congress. I mean, you can't sit there and say that
isn't going to stop him. What, are you kidding me?
John Boehner sitting there in the same breath saying we're suing the president for not...
He hasn't paid any attention to the Republicans anyway.
Your Republican Party is suing the president for actually doing an executive order, and then they're telling him that he can handle the thing on the border. Give me a break. You can't have it both ways. The president just got sued.
They're not telling him that. They're assuming he's going to do it anyway.
John Boehner said the president can do this. He doesn't need Congress. Well, you know what? He just got sued. Where is Congress? Why don't they take some responsibility for the votes? Why don't they do something? They just left on vacation. That is the problem. Deal with it. And it's not just your immigration coming in through the border. It's these kids from Central America that deserve a hearing.
It's his actions from the past years that have caused
That is not what caused it.
7360300. Top story. You're on the air.
I don't read newspapers. I don't go by the computer, so I go by facts. My brother lives down there on the border. He cannot go for the last 5 years. He's not been able to go to Laredo for business on his business because they're coming across the border with 50 calibers. It's worse than Iraq down there right now. So don't say the border's more secure now than it's ever been. It's not.
Unfortunately, it is. So, which shows you it wasn't very secure under George W. Bush either, was it?
7360300. Top story. You're on the air. Hello,
morning, Kelly and Jill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, let's first and foremost, let's not blame Obama for not enforcing the border. This has been going on since Reagan, and the Democrats have blocked it every time they wanted to enforce the border. They shut it down. They don't want the border done. They don't want the border secured. It's not what they want. 2, Congress did vote in money for the people for the deal, but they voted out all the pork that was put in it, and it was turned down by Harry Reid. not even voted on. I mean, they had the offer for money. They wouldn't even take that. And that's just, it's ludicrous. And the only people, if you ask me, are racist is the left.
Oh,
Because,
really?
yes.
Come on.
Who keeps calling race? We say we don't like what Obama does. It's because he's black.
Gotta go.
No one's
we got
saying
the
that. Give me
monster
a
trucks
break.
coming up next. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And you know, the Twin Falls County Fair is coming up very, very soon, the end of this month already.
Hard to believe.
Wow. It seems like it's still months away.
It feels like it's still July. I can't tell you how many times I say July.
Or even May.
I know it.
But we have Brian Wagner with us, and Brian is the president of the All-Star Motorsports Productions, and he's bringing the All-Star Monster Truck Tour to the Twin Falls County Fair in Filer this year. That's going to be a lot of fun. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us about your show that's coming up. What can folks expect to see?
We are kicking off the Twin Falls County Fair this year. It is County Fair time in Filer, Idaho. Our big show starts on Wednesday, August 27th, and we've got a driver meet and greet from 5:30 to 6:30, and then the show time is at 7 o'clock.
All right.
Wow. So, Brian, we were talking, when was the last time they had monster trucks? Is this recent or a new thing at the fairgrounds?
We actually came for the first time last year, and we had such a huge crowd. We actually brought back a bigger show this year. Before we came this past year, it had been a little while, but we had such a great turnout, such a great response from all the fine folks in the Twin Falls area. The Twin Falls County Fair brought us back once again to kick off the fair on Wednesday, August 27th.
Wow.
So now when they buy the ticket, then that gets them into the meet and greet for the drivers too, correct?
Absolutely. Tickets are just $15 for the event, and that does include fair admission. And you definitely want to come out early because you can grab a good seat and also meet all of the All-Star Monster Truck Tour drivers up close and personal. From 5:30 to 6:30, all those drivers will be taking photos and signing autographs with you great fans. And we also have a monster ride truck that you can take a ride in. We'll be doing monster truck rides from 5:30 to 7, and then the ride truck will be back at the end of the show as well to give more rides.
Well,
Wow.
that'll be cool.
That sounds great.
So you got Captain USA and Double Trouble showing up. Tell us about those.
Those are the twin drivers, actually. They're identical twin drivers in Double Trouble, and actually they've got a brand new body on the Captain USA truck. They call it Troublemaker. So the twins have kind of got another play on words there with Double Trouble and Troublemaker. And they'll be facing off against two of the top trucks in the country, all the way from Kansas. It's the Bounty Hunter and Iron Outlaw, the same trucks that you see on TV. So we've got 4 great all-star monster trucks, some of the best in the nation, ready to do battle.
Well, so this isn't going to be the third stringers. I mean, this is going to be top-notch stuff here. Are you there?
Brian?
Hello, I can still hear you.
Oh, okay.
I thought you
Kelly's
left
just
it.
talking to himself. That's okay.
Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. I said, this isn't going to be the third stringers. This is the
I
top-notch
believe
stuff.
we're breaking up just a little bit, but if you guys can still hear me on the other end there, we're really looking forward to the event. It's going to be Wednesday, August 27th. Again, the driver meet and greets from 5:30 to 6:30. Showtime's at 7 o'clock, and tickets are just $15. It includes fair admission, and you can get tickets right now at tfcfair.com. Again, we've got 4 great monster trucks, and we've also got the 30-foot-tall fighting robots, Galactron versus Reptar. We're looking forward to a great event there. Again, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of connection issues over here on my end. I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you guys, but I definitely want to thank you guys for having us on this morning.
All right. Are you hearing us now?
I do hear you now.
Okay, very good. Well, we got all that, and that sounds good. And we'll be looking forward to the show coming up on the 27th.
Fantastic. We're definitely looking forward to a big show Wednesday, August 27th, kicking off this year's Twin Falls County Fair.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Brian,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
You betcha. Bye-bye. That's Brian Wagner. He's president of All-Star Motorsports Productions. And while we're kind of on that same subject, I just wanted to say that you have a chance to win a family 4-pack of monster truck tickets, meet and greet passes, and a ride along with one of the drivers. And for a chance to win this, you go to our website at newsradio1310.com, and you will find that package there that you can sign up for a chance to win.
Now, I've never been to a monster truck show. When they say that they're fighting each other, what are they doing? Are they crashing each other?
No. They
what
have
are they doing?
have competitions. They have jumps, and they have races, and just
so they have like a little track or something.
It's kind of like Simon Says, kind of like a type of deal.
You mean like the announcer will say something, then the trucks do it?
No, it's a pre-done
I don't
deal.
know.
Come on, Jill.
Why did we lose them so
smokes.
fast? I had these questions. I don't understand.
You didn't even get to ask your stumper questions.
No,
today,
I don't.
did you?
I don't get it. But it sounds like fun. I guess it. See, they haven't had it too long. Last year was the first year. So
yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so it should be a lot of fun. If you went last year and you enjoyed it, definitely come out again and you can meet the drivers. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it would be. And then tickets for it are at tfcfair.com. So.
And we're going to have one of the drivers on next Wednesday. So
Yeah.
I can ask him these questions
There you
then.
go. You can ask them, then we shouldn't have connection trouble then.
I know.
We got Randy Staples next with the Idaho Political Update. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story, as it always is. And as always, it's Monday, so that means we have Randy Staples from for the Idaho Political Update from Reidenbaugh Press at reidenbaugh.com. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, nice to have you here. You had quite a little write-up this morning about former Congressman George Hansen. I remember that guy. He was
well. That kind of dates you in a way.
It does
because it's been just about 30 years since he was in Congress, and since then he's pretty much dropped from the scene. Only really people that were following him before that probably really tracked him very much. But he was a major figure in Idaho for a couple of decades, from the early '60s up until about 1984.
Yeah, and just, I guess, to finish the thought, he passed away over the weekend, but a lot of people who've been around in Idaho for years and years remember him, and he was quite a colorful guy. I mean, he was, what has always amazed me about George Hansen was that the people who backed him with vigor. I mean, even when he was arrested and accused of the kiting the checks and got in trouble for the financing, the campaign financing, boy, they stood by him to no end.
You're absolutely right. That he had a really solid core that was very personal. They would hold meetings and rallies in support of him, and it was very much a personal thing. Mm-hmm. People identified him with the stances that he took. He was very much opposed to the Internal Revenue Service and OSHA and various other things, and he was very much identified with those positions. But it was also a very personal thing, and he was such an outsized political figure, and quite likable. If you got to know him, I certainly found him so. But he wound up getting into quite a bit of trouble over time, and it became a very divisive thing.
Wasn't he in jail too a couple times?
He was, after he served in Congress, yes, and that had to do with convictions on felony offenses related to campaign finances,
which were later overturned because they figured that they interpreted the law incorrectly. Isn't that right?
Yeah, the interpretations changed over the course of a decade. That is true.
Would you say that George might have been the precursor to the Tea Party?
I think there's some real overlap there. I think that some of what he said back in the day and some of the stances that he took really kind of laid some of the groundwork for the Tea Party in southern Idaho. I think there is some connection there, and it's the both in terms of some of the things that the Tea Party doesn't like, some of the stances that it takes, some of the attitudes that it has, and some of the tone and tenor of what they're about. I think there's some real overlap there.
So when we talk about the Tea Party being new around here, it's really not that new, is it?
Oh, no. Well, the ideas that are there, the attitudes that are there, they go back quite a ways, and And if you go back in Idaho politics, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you can find the precursors to all that. They didn't call them the Tea Party, but they were a lot of the same kinds of ideas, and in many cases the same people were around and saying very much the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, kind of on that same vein, the Republican Party is having a little bit of a, I don't know, discussion, I guess. I don't know what it is. What are you calling it these days? Between the two factions, even with their fundraiser, bringing in the keynote speaker that Brian Smith wants to bring in.
Right.
Who is from Freedom Works. So
That's right. And that's kind of a national Tea Party associated organization, one of the national organizers, insofar as it's kind of a term of art in a way, but certainly affiliated with the Tea Party activities. That's something that is not going to go away anytime real soon, because these are two sides, two factions within the Republican Party that have been developing some real animosity for a while, and the party may finally have gotten its chairman, but the attitudes and the groupings that are there are not going to change overnight. It's that's not something that's going to change right away. The basics are still there for all of that kind of conflict, and it could return next time around.
So do you feel like with the what was her name? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Marcia Bjorn, the former chairperson of the GOP Region 7. She said that people aren't buying the tickets. That really Brian Smith didn't win. That they should really use this fundraiser to promote their candidates. How do you think it's going?
Well, they've used the fundraiser traditionally as kind of as both as a fundraiser to raise money, but also as something to kind of show off their local Republican candidates. And their concern is that it's being turned into or used for something else. That it's not so much aimed at or oriented around the local candidates as it is really the ideas and statements and efforts of one wing of the party, as opposed to the whole party and its candidates.
But kind of to Brian Smith's credit, I mean, he was duly elected, and he's the new Region 7 chairperson there. So I mean, he's kind of the one in charge, and he's kind of the one who sets the tone. I mean, that's why you elect different people if you want to kind of change the course of things.
He certainly he has the authority to do that, and part of it is a question of to what extent are you going to press your group's agenda, or to what extent are you going to try and unite. He probably, I think that one thing that could be said is that he had the opportunity there to sort of unite the factions to a degree,
right.
But that was not the direction they chose to go.
I guess they'll see how many tickets they sell and how effective it was.
Well, there you are. That'll be part of the test.
And you'll know.
Well, the governor's race seems to be heating up. I know they're coming out with a website against A.J. Belukoff and kind of setting the stage there. It seems like in the past that our governor's races have been they've been fairly okay, and they've been kind of accommodating on both sides. But boy, this one here seems like it's taking on a whole new side to it. What do you think?
Well, I think that what's a little bit more different is that the Republicans are a little bit more engaged in it, which may indicate that they feel that there's a little bit more risk this time around. Mm-hmm. And I think that where some of that may come from is that there's probably not, and it would be very difficult for any politician to pull this off. It's not unique to him, but there may not be a whole lot of real enthusiasm with the idea of a third term for Butch Otter.
Right.
It would be difficult for, after 8 years of anyone being governor, it would be difficult to work up a real massive head of steam for most governors. Now, it can happen. It can be done. But Idaho has only elected one person to 3-4 year terms before. That was Bob Smiley back in '62, and it's even then the enthusiasm level on his part wasn't all that great. It was not a massive sweeping win. It's kind of a hard thing for a politician to pull off after they've been in major spots for so long. And Butch Otter has held major office in Idaho now consistently since 1986. That's a long time.
Yeah,
it is. And when you look at the state of the state, I mean, people are really dissatisfied with what's been going on, and they really feel like he hasn't really done much for education, or we're the highest in minimum wage. We're number 50 on many things. So I think he has a hard record to defend.
Do you? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to kind of expand it. Do you think that his opposition to the Medicaid expansion, Governor Otter, do you think that's going to hurt him in this coming election? Because it appears a lot of people are in favor of this, including most of the people on the task force that he appointed to study that.
Well, I thought the task force report was quite interesting. That the people that he asked to review it came up with the idea that we need to do something here. Even one of the few legislators who voted against it, Steve Thain, who is a very conservative state senator from the Emmett area, said that even while voting against it, he said we've got to do something here, and this is a point where the state would actually have to pay out more money, would be costing the state more money not to do it, alongside not getting these people the health care and health insurance that they need.
It's like 77,000 Idahoans. I mean, It's amazing. It's not a small number. That's a big number.
So I repeat my question. Do you think that's going to hurt him in the election?
With some people, but I'm not sure whether that's not an issue that has hurt Republicans a great deal in general elections up to this point. It could simply be lumped in as Obamacare. You campaign against Obamacare, and that could be the end of it. We'll see what Balikoff does with it. Whether he's able to kind of tease it apart and talk about the specifics a little bit more.
Well, if the 77,000 vote, that's a shot.
Well, that would be a pretty significant fact to bear in mind.
Yeah.
Well, Senator Mike Crapo says he's going to run again in 2016. You think his recent, he had a little dust up there in Washington here a while back with his drunk driving charge. You think that's going to have any effect on that, or do you think people have
given him a pass?
Yeah.
I think they've probably given him a pass. They're occasionally you hear some reference to it, but I guess it seems to me that it hasn't. It hasn't become so front and center for him that unless there's another incident that comes up or something like that it's likely to do him that serious damage. There's some speculation that somebody else, possibly including Raul Labrador, might have been expressing some interest in running for the seat in 2016, and maybe that's why Crapo decided to go ahead and remove all doubt about what he intended to do at this point.
Yeah,
so he wanted to kind of make sure that everybody was on notice that he was planning to do this.
Well, before we leave, what is the deal with Ron Crane challenging Deb Silver to a radio interview debate and not showing?
That's not very good practice. That's really not very good practice. That's I guess everybody have to draw their own conclusions. But if you make a challenge like that and don't show up to it, that certainly doesn't speak very well, and it certainly gives your opponent some big talking points.
Where did that happen?
I don't know.
I forget which radio. I saw the call numbers, but I don't know what city it was in. I don't know if it was in Boise, but then they didn't give her airtime. I'm thinking, wow, if she showed up, I would have given her airtime.
Well, that's the thing, is you do give your opponent a good deal of airtime, and you give them an automatic message to talk about how you're not meeting with people. You're not getting out there. You're not meeting your critics. You're not even defending yourself.
I mean, you're challenging someone to debate and you don't show up. What's up with that? Who does that? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Usually
that
the
would be
other
pretty
person
bad.
doesn't show up. Yeah.
That would be pretty bad campaign practice. But then Ron Crane hasn't had a lot of experience with serious or really aggressive campaigns against him.
I guess so.
He's never really had them in a lot of years in politics. He's never really been seriously challenged.
Well,
Maybe until now.
Randy, we're out of time. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you then.
All right,
Thanks,
appreciate
Randy.
it. Randy Staples from Reidenbaugh Press at reidenbaugh.com, and you can hear him weekly right here on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. So what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri? We'll check that out next hour. And welcome back to Top Story, 7360300, always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal.
In our haste last hour to get into the discussion, we missed, ladies and gentlemen, an update with Jill and her cat.
As Friday as we last left you, I told you that for 3 nights in a row she had no longer meowed.
Yeah.
And then Friday night and Saturday night, she woke us up many times over the night. So we're back to square one.
Oh.
Although last night she was better, but I'm like, I knew it. I jinxed it. I shouldn't have said it.
That's right. You talked about it. I think
It's like
Gracie
listens to the show.
Listens to the show. I think she does.
It's like the golf announcer when the guy's about to putt and they say he hasn't had a bogey in 54 holes. Boom. Bogey. Anyway, so yeah, I had to tell you, I was like, oh my gosh, I was hesitant to even say anything about it, but I did, because 3 nights in a row, what were the chances? Well, the chances were it was only 3 nights in a row.
So what about last night?
Last night she was good. She was good. She meowed a little, and that was it. But
Maybe she's figured out, maybe she only does that
on
on weekends. Yeah.
Because she would hate for me to get a good night's sleep on a weekend, because
That's
we're
right.
up at the crack of dawn during the week.
That's right.
Anyway, too funny. Too funny.
Well, also in our haste, we also got a couple of news items to talk about. Apparently, there's some Twin Falls residents who are filing claims against the city after that flooding that we had when the sewers backed up into their basements.
Nasty.
I can't even imagine.
Nasty.
I can't even imagine.
Raw sewage.
Yeah.
Raw sewage.
In your basement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how in the world could you fix that?
I don't know.
Would you just not have to tear it down and start over? Can something like that actually be fixed when you have had raw sewage in your basement?
I don't know.
Can it be pumped out and cleaned up, and or would you even want to?
I don't know. I felt so badly. They had pictures of the one people's house. I mean, the toys, their new school clothes, everything floating in it. And they filed a tort claim against the city. They said city officials told them the water in their rental home's basement was simply rainwater, but they never came out to check.
Oops.
Wow. So anyway, their claim is basically the city provided false information, which led to prolonged exposure to contaminants. And really damage to their. I mean, the insurance adjuster didn't even want to go in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. I don't. How many homes were damaged? Did they say 7, 9?
9 is the last that I heard. Yeah. But I don't know. There may be more filing damages after that. And I don't know how many people carry flood insurance. I don't know if I carry flood insurance.
It's kind
I'll
of
have
hard
to look
when
at my homeowner's policy.
Like live in a desert, you think the last thing you think about are flood insurance.
But there are flood plains.
Yeah.
And the story kind of indicated that if you do live in a flood plain, then a lender will require flood insurance.
Right.
But I don't know how well they enforce that anymore.
Well, I don't know why.
It used to be building in a floodplain was a big deal. You just didn't do it, but it just seems like you haven't heard much out of that in the last few decades.
No.
So whether they've just kind of figured, well, hey, we're in a desert. We only get 8 to 10 inches a year. Nothing's going to happen anyway.
Till you get half of it in one day.
Yeah, I know.
Fourth
was
of
just
it, third of
incredible.
it, whatever. But the other thing is, she said, if the city knew what was happening, why didn't they then tell people to stop flushing their toilets? I mean, the raw sewage.
I know, but would that you really think that would have done any good?
I don't
to tell
know.
people not to flush their toilet.
Might have helped.
I don't know.
I mean, sometimes you got to do those things.
I think that might be stretching it just a bit. To send the flush police in. Have you been flushing your toilet? Up against the wall.
Well, when they had that water thing, I mean, they told businesses to stop using water. They had to close coffee shops and things like that. So,
that was a little different. That was a lack of water.
Right.
This was a little too much.
Too much, yeah, sewage. But, you have to say, how would the city know it was rainwater if they didn't see it? They didn't go into someone's house.
Yeah, I don't know. And
I think they probably know the difference between
I don't know what the other side of the story
rainwater
is
and raw sewage is.
Yeah. I don't know. I am just glad, and I thank the good Lord in heaven that our basement did not flood. We live out of town, so, but I have had to take measures in the past in order to keep my basement from flooding. And that's not always that easy when you live in a rural area. I mean, you have ditches to contend with, and you have downpours, and you have melting snow to contend with. So you have to keep all that in mind when you are building, and it took me several years to finally get it to where I actually feel safe.
Right.
I still don't have rain gutters on my roof, though.
I would do rain gutters if I were you,
one of the things I'm going to do.
And but we kind of are on a hill. It's kind of built into an incline, so we're pretty lucky that way. But we did get flooded because of sprinklers. There was a crack, and sprinklers were hitting. And
I know,
we had to extend our gutters.
Yeah. My basement has flooded many times, and 99% of the time it's because I leave a sprinkler running too close to the house for too long. So,
but if it were raw sewage,
that would be a totally different
I
deal.
would probably just demolish it and start over.
Yeah,
I don't know how you would ever feel like it's all clean.
I know.
I don't know.
We have a situation going on in Ferguson, Missouri. Still, the results of one of the autopsies is out. I guess St. Louis County did an autopsy. Those results have not been released yet, or at least the last I heard. The one that they have released was one by, they call him Celebrity Dr. Michael Baden. He's on apparently one of the programs on TV called Autopsy.
Sounds appropriate.
Yeah, but at any rate, Michael Brown, the unarmed black teenager who was killed by a police officer, sparking protests around the nation, was shot at least 6 times, including twice in the head, according to this preliminary private autopsy performed on Sunday. One of the bullets entered the top of Mr. Brown's skull, suggesting his head was bent forward when it struck him and caused a fatal injury, according to Dr. Michael Baden, the former chief medical examiner for the city of New York, who flew to Missouri on Sunday at the family's request to conduct the separate autopsy. It was likely the last of the bullets to hit him, he said. Mr. Brown, 18, was shot 4 times in the right arm, he said, adding that all the bullets were fired into his front. So apparently none of them, if there were any shot, when he was running away, none of those hit him. Any bullets that hit him hit him from the front. The bullets did not appear to have been shot from very close range because no gunpowder was present on his body. However, that determination could change if it turns out that there is gunshot residue on Mr. Brown's clothing, to which Dr. Baden said he did not have access. This is a very interesting article. Attorney General Eric Holder said Sunday that the Justice Department now is going to conduct its own autopsy, in addition to the one performed by local officials and this private one, due to the extraordinary circumstances involved in this case and at the request of the Brown family. The preliminary autopsy results are the first time that some of the critical information resulting in Mr. Brown's death have been made public. Okay, I lost my place.
What's happening over there? You okay?
I'm sorry, I lost my place. I was trying to do 2 or 3 different things.
Which never works well.
Okay. Thousands of protesters demanding information and justice for what was widely viewed as a reckless shooting took to the streets here in rallies that ranged from peaceful to violent. Mr. Brown died last week in that confrontation with a police officer in the suburb of St. Louis. The police department has come under harsh criticism for refusing to clarify the circumstances of the shooting and for responding to protests with military-style operational gear. People have been asking how many times was he shot. This information could have been released on day 1, Dr. Baden said in an interview after performing the autopsy. They don't do that. Even as feelings built up among the citizenry that there was a cover-up, we are hoping to alleviate that. Dr. Baden said that while Mr. Brown was shot at least 6 times, only 3 bullets were recovered from his body, but he has yet to see x-rays showing where the bullets were found, which would clarify the autopsy results, nor has he had access to witness and police statements. But Dr. Baden provided a diagram of the entry wounds and noted that the 6 shots produced numerous wounds. Some of the bullets entered and exited several times, including one that left at least 5 different wounds. This one here, he said, it looks like his head was bent downward, indicating the wound at the very top of Mr. Brown's head. It can't be because he's it can be because he's giving up or because he is charging forward at the officer.
And the thing of it is they let the officer leave the scene. So they didn't really preserve his car to see if there was bullet residue in his car. He basically left. And so I think these people want an investigation that was proper. The reason they wanted the justice system, they wanted their own, is they were worried they weren't going to get a fair autopsy from the police when it seemed like they were trying to protect the officer and have him leave the scene, and they didn't have any, they didn't even get to look at his car or evidence or anything like that.
It's kind of bad for us to sit here and assume what has happened. All we have to go on is what we hear and what we read. Right. There are some other accounts of it coming out now, which makes you think that a rush to judgment on the part of the police officer may not be wise. According to what has emerged so far, on Sunday, August 9th, Mr. Brown, along with a companion, Dorian Johnson, were walking in the middle of Canfield Drive, a fistful of cigarillos in Mr. Brown's hand, police say, which a videotape shows he stole from a liquor store on some street there. At 12:01 p.m., they were stopped by Darren Wilson, a police officer, who ordered them off the road and onto the sidewalk. The police have said that what happened next was a physical struggle between Mr. Brown and Officer Wilson that left the officer with a swollen face. Mr. Johnson and others have said that it was a case of racial profiling and police aggression from a white officer toward a black man. Within minutes, Mr. Brown, who was unarmed, was dead of gunshot wounds. The sequence of events provided by law enforcement officials places Mr. Brown and Mr. Johnson at Ferguson Market and Liquors, a store several blocks away from where he was shot, at about 11:50 a.m. After leaving the store with the cigarillos, the two walked north on West Florissant, a busy commercial thoroughfare, toward Canfield Drive, a clerk reported to the police. Mr. Brown was a big man, 6'4" and almost 300 pounds. Though his family and friends described him as quiet and shy, a homebody who lived with his grandmother. It is about a 10-minute walk from the Ferguson Market to the spot where Officer Wilson, 28, with 6 years' experience, approached Mr. Brown and Mr. Johnson. The police tell of an officer who was enforcing the minor violation of jaywalking as Mr. Brown and Mr. Johnson ignored the sidewalk and strolled down the middle of the road instead. And we'll be back after the break. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Friday's $100 instant winning name is Doug Weaver.
Doug Weaver, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is Phill, F-I-L-L.
Phil.
Not P-H-I-L.
I know, I'm like, Phil. I thought we just said George Weaver.
Doug Weaver.
Doug Weaver.
Jay, money
Don't
Christmas,
even
you'll
know.
get
Doug
it
Weaver.
right.
You got me, Phil.
Go to
F-I-L-L. What's going on here?
Go to our website at newsradio1310.com and click on Word of the Day and type in F-I-L-L.
Phil.
Yes, and then listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you play the Word of the Day today, then you win $100, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Please forgive the time it's taking to kind of set this story up, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of different stories of what went on there in Ferguson with the shooting. But the one of the stories is that the police officer, Mr. Brown attacked the police officer. They wound up through the driver's door to the police officer's car, and that is apparently where some witnesses say the shooting, at least part of the shooting, took place.
Yeah, his friend Dorian, is it Dorian Johnson? Is
yes.
that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the police did not interview him for 4 days. So you have to, and people were upset, like, why aren't you looking into this? They let him lay on the street for 4 to 5 hours. No one even tried to call help to see if they could get this guy help. Nothing. They just left him there. And Dorian Johnson said that he, when the policeman said to him they were walking down the street, he said there weren't any cars, and they were just about to get to where they were going, that the policeman said to him, "Get the F on the sidewalk." That was the first, confrontation. And he's maintained the same story in many interviews. So I don't know. I think this is part of the problem. I mean, I really think this is part of the problem of how they're treated.
Right, but a lot of people are quick to judge this situation and the police officer. And hey, this is a bad deal, I mean, just ask anybody in Ferguson, Missouri.
And they've had a history of this. It's been a long history of racial tensions with police in Ferguson,
which never justifies what happened afterwards. But I mean, it is what it is. But a previously unnoticed detail in a background conversation of a video taken minutes after the Ferguson shooting could change the course of the investigation into Mike Brown's death. The original video poster appears sympathetic to the narrative that Mike Brown was shot unarmed with his hands in the air, but he unknowingly picks up conversation between a man who saw the altercation and another neighbor. An approximate transcript of the background conversation, as related by the Conservative Treehouse blog, who originally discovered this conversation, goes like this. How'd he get from there to there? Because he ran. The police was still in the truck, because he was like over the truck. But him and the police was both in the truck. Then he ran. The police got out and ran after him. Then the next thing I know, he doubled back toward him because the police had his gun drawn already on him. Then it says there's a dispute here whether he says double back or coming back. Oh, the police got his gun. The police kept dumping on him, and I'm thinking the police kept missing. He but he kept coming toward him. Police fired shots. The next thing I know, the police was missing. The police? The police shot him. Police? The next thing I know, I'm thinking the dude started running, and then it's garbled. But anyway, it's important because this could indicate that if Mike Brown had been shot and he advanced toward the cop instead of surrendering, it would substantiate the narrative that the policeman shot in self-defense due to the fact that he was being threatened with severe bodily harm, which corroborates an account of the event given by a friend of Officer Darren Wilson. So, and believe me, I'm not saying this is right or wrong.
There's a lot of eyewitnesses.
There's a lot of there's eyewitnesses, and some eyewitnesses are giving contradictory information than others, and I'm just glad I don't have to sort this thing out. But
what they do need to do is sort it out quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have to, and that's part of the problem. But it's happening across the country. They had a mentally challenged black guy just shot the other day in LA 3 times in his back. They've had the one guy in New York who was in the chokehold, literally choked him to death. He died. And so, I think they've had enough. And like I said before, the black attorneys at Reebok, they would get stopped constantly because they'd be driving. I mean, they were all Harvard educated African-American men, and they were driving BMWs or, a Mercedes. They would get stopped constantly. It was sad. We do not encounter what these people encounter, and frankly, a lot of these deaths just go unpunished, uncharged, and so I think it was really the tipping point, and they better either press charges quickly, investigate quickly, and get this over with so they could feel like there's some justice.
But before we put this Michael Brown up on a pedestal as being the poster child of an innocent young boy, he was not. I mean, he was caught on video roughing up the guy at the market and stealing the cigars, and I realize that may not justify him being shot and killed, but I mean, this is a guy that he likes to cause a little bit of trouble.
But the police chief even said that had nothing to do with this. The officer didn't even know about that. It was just, it started out just by saying... But you're still working with
that kind of a personality. So if you're looking at the guy who's willing to push around a guy at a convenience store, maybe when a cop comes along, that's no big deal for him.
How many cops would say to us, get the F on the sidewalk? Not many. I don't think so. If we're white...
If that's what he said.
They have a witness.
Well, of course they have a witness.
Well, his friend was with them.
Maybe the other witnesses didn't hear that.
Why do you discount that?
We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story. Welcome back. And before we get back into our conversation, I guess a good question at this point would be, if you were in charge of this deal in Ferguson, Missouri, what would you do? What would you do to make it all better and all right and make the rioting stop? And, you know, you're in charge. You're in charge for a day, so we'll get to you here in just a second. First, I wanted to tell you that the folks at Far More of Idaho have a great deal here with Infrared Baron. They fly over your fields, they take pictures with infrared photography, and then they can upload this information to your computer so you can sit there at your leisure and take a look at it and see what it means, and notice that there might be some places in your fields that aren't getting watered like you thought they were. And they will show up like everybody's business. Like it'll show up like marijuana growing in the field, you know?
Let's hope you don't have any.
In infrared photography.
It will. I think it glows, they say, right?
That's right. So if you see there where your fields aren't getting as wet as they should, or in certain areas, then you can take steps to fix that and increase your yield and more than pay for the overflights of the fields. It's just that simple. And it's called Infrared Baron, and they know all about it at Far More of Idaho. You can give them a call at 324-3341 or online at farmoreofidaho.com. 7360300 is the number to call. Good morning. You're on Top Story.
Good morning.
Yes, there's a couple of things I see wrong with this. First, it's even around here, not just down there. When an officer shoots, they are taught in their academy to shoot to kill, but then they go overboard and they keep on shooting. And as a hunter, you shoot until you see if your prey is down on one, then if it's necessary, shoot again. But when you get like 5 officers, like saying shooting out a car, and they say there's like 40 rounds in the car, and when they start shooting, they go overboard on shooting. Instead of just wounding them, they are shooting until they kill them. And on this other one, they turn it into the racism thing, but it's not racism. It's just all the other bad ones going down there to make it out as a racism when, you know, and they're trying to turn it around that way and not looking at the whole story, and it's just turning into a racism.
I believe that there are many, and they have said that there are a lot of people coming from out of the areas who are, and this is normal in a case like this. They come here and they try to push it. Yeah, this is racism. This is racism. There are looters there who might even not even be from that area, but they see an opportunity to get something for free. So, you know, I know that this is very much part of what's going on in Ferguson. But I'm also, I don't live there, but I'm also going to say that, you know, I'm sure that there's some stuff going on that is against certain communities and
years. Where the state of Missouri is tracking who they arrest for the last 14 years, because they had a police chief who would say, let's have a brown day, let's have a black day, which meant let's arrest blacks, let's arrest browns. The arrest records for those races were far higher than what the population demographics showed. And, you know, there were an interview with a couple of these African-American teenagers yesterday, and even the minister with them, who said, you know, they live in fear to being stopped by cops. They said, you just hope they're not coming at you. They've been slammed on, you know, police cars. They've been stopped. Their cars have been searched. They've been in handcuffs for no reason at all, because the color of their skin. And you see it happening, and you've seen it happening all across the country. And you know what? These mothers and fathers of African-American teens, they give their kids talks. Do not do this, do not do that, like, because they're going to be stopped. Even the grandfather of Michael Brown, he and his buddies his age are stopped, you know, at certain times of the evening going in certain areas just because they're black. We have no idea what that's like.
Even given all of that, does not indicate that this shooting might not have been justified.
I don't think if the cop said he was jaywalking to be killed for jaywalking,
that's not
how
why
do you
he
justify
would be killed. If he attacked him, then he would be killed, which may be stemmed from him telling him to get off of the road because he was jaywalking. But if he was killed and he was attacking him, this guy was almost 300 pounds, 6'4". I mean, he was a weapon of himself. We cannot say this morning that shooting just absolutely was not justified. You cannot say that.
Well, listening to the kid who was with him, who testified, and how come the police didn't interview him?
Do you think he's going to
right
talk
away.
against his friend. Come on.
Are you kidding me? Oh, so he's automatically a liar.
He would be
he's
not automatically a liar, but he would
Why?
be a biased witness.
Why?
He would be a biased witness.
Why? They also had
Because-
people showing. Why? Because when we're interviewed and we see a witness, we're a valid witness. Why is this kid not a
necessarily.
valid witness?
Depends on the situation.
Listen to his story. He said they were told, get the F onto the sidewalk, which if any policeman should say that right away, I'm sorry.
Maybe he did.
I don't think
Maybe
they
he
would
didn't
talk.
say that.
Okay, he just makes it up.
Top story.
I
You're
guess
on
we
the
can't.
air. Good
Why
morning.
can't you believe his friend who was with him?
I think that there's a real easy way, and one thing that we should do that just should be automatically mandatory with all police officers. They should all just wear GoPro cameras from now on. I mean, they have them now where they're specifically designed for police officers, and that way there isn't any. This doesn't even happen.
Yeah,
because then there's no he said she said. It's like, well,
That's
here's
right.
the camera. Now,
It'll
and one other thing that you guys just mentioned.
Okay,
too.
hold on. We got to go to a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Top Story. We are back here on Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call. And the folks at Canyon Pond would really like you to come down and visit their store. Dave Hansen and the crew has done a great job getting this new pawn shop going.
Is that you?
What?
I'm hearing something going off.
Oh, that's mine.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Do you not turn it off during the show?
I do. It's just vibrating, Joe. It's
Mine
not
doesn't
ringing.
sound like that.
I don't know who it is.
I don't either.
I don't know what they want.
They obviously don't know you do a radio show.
They obviously don't. I'll have to wait until after the show
Not
to find
a listener.
out. They might leave a message and they might not. But anyway, as I was talking about the Canyon Pawn, a new pawn shop in town, they're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota, and it's a nice, clean store. It's newly redone inside. They got a lot of items, brand new and used items, and they also have a lot of guns for sale right now. So if you're looking for a gun, I know hunting season's getting ready to ramp up. It is going in some units already. So, if you're just thinking, boy, this old gun that I've had for a while, I think I'm going to hand that down to my son or daughter, and I'm going to get me another one. I think that would be a great idea. And you just might find what you're looking for at Canyon Pond, fishing poles, tools, woodworking equipment, recreational equipment, and a whole lot more. Stop in and see Dave Hansen and tell him that Kelly and Jill sent you in at Canyon Pond on South Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. 736-0300 is the number to call. What would you do today if you were in charge of the situation in Ferguson, Missouri? What would you do to fix it? Top Story, you are on the air, and thanks for holding.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, number one, I would go with GoPro cameras. I mean, every single officer should just have one. The second thing we brought up was, why would somebody who was with somebody lie about what happened? Probably because he just had committed a crime with the guy. I mean, I'm not saying that the officer knew that he committed the crime. Matter of fact, the officers even admitted that he didn't know.
He did not know.
Yeah, right. He admitted that. But what I'm saying is maybe, though, you need to think about that as what kind of frame of mind does that set him in? If, a cop walks up to him and says, hey, I need to talk to you for a minute. And I would say, Jill, what you were saying about, the parents and the community saying, well, don't do this and don't do that to attract attention to yourself. Well, he must not have listened very well, because I'm sure one of the things they probably said was, don't go in and rob stores because, it's going to attract unnecessary attention from police officers. And I just want to close with one last thing. My wife is Hispanic, and I have 3 kids, and they look pretty Hispanic. Here in Twin Falls, my sons walk everywhere. My other son just got his driver's license. He's driving everywhere, and they have never been harassed or pulled over or anything like that. And I've told them, hey, if you ever get pulled over, I'm one of those kind of constitutional guys. I'm like, if you're getting cited, take your citation and go, but don't answer any questions if we're not there, the usual kind of stuff. But I just want to say they never have been pulled over or anything like that. But, and this is the big but, they don't dress like thugs. I mean, if you're going to walk around with a freaking Chicago Bulls baseball cap sideways, your pants around your knees, wearing a big red T-shirt, wanting to look like a gangster, expect to be treated like a gangster.
You know what? I really have such a problem with that last statement.
Why?
There are white guys that dress like that,
And they should
they
be
aren't
harassed
being
too, and they
harassed
do.
either.
They do.
So, but you shouldn't be shot, for
Well, I didn't say shoot 'em.
jaywalking.
But you should expect to get more attention from the police if you're going to dress like
that's
that.
not. And so the
First
attorney,
of all, Michael
but no.
Brown was not shot for jaywalking.
Well, that's what the cops. That's what the chief said. He was pulled over for blocking the road for jaywalking.
That doesn't mean that's why
So-
he was shot. There are people
But you
get
still
pulled over
shouldn't be
every
dead.
day for,
He still
for
shouldn't be
stuff.
dead. But the point is,
You
if
don't
you think
know that.
no, and let's
If
have
he
an
charged
investigation.
The policeman.
You don't
then,
know that
then
either.
He might need to be dead. If he charged the policeman,
He's
that's
unarmed.
what I'm saying. I could go either way. It depends on what the investigation shows, and I'm willing to go with it either way.
Why didn't
But right now, people are so willing to just hang the police officer because there's a black boy dead in Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, you know what? Why wasn't the police there? Why didn't they continue their investigation? Why did they have the
I
cop
don't know.
leave the scene? Why did they
I
leave
don't
his
know.
body 4 to 5 hours laying in the road
That
like
might
that?
not have been the cop's fault that shot the boy.
Why wasn't he there to talk so they could see his car?
I don't know.
Why didn't they talk to
Maybe
his friend for
attorney told
4
him not to.
days?
I don't know.
But
these
the
things.
attorneys that dress in their cars that worked at Reebok were not thugs. They didn't dress like thugs, and they got stopped because of the color of their skin and because they were driving Mercedes and BMWs.
Well, they obviously didn't get shot and killed.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I
But
agree.
why are they stopped and we're not?
I don't know.
Look what's happening, and this is what happens around this country. And you know what? There's a lot more that are killed and stopped than we will ever know.
7360300 is the number. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah. Turn the radio down.
Yeah, you got to turn on the radio.
Okay, I have to agree a little bit with Jill on this one.
Okay.
The cop is a highly trained person. They're supposed to be highly trained person. He's supposed to be able to keep his gun and his emotions under control. Unlike Joe Blow carrying a gun, I do. If I got excited enough, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, you're about out of time, so.
Okay, so why was he shot so many times so far away from the car? I can understand the gun going off when the tussle supposedly happened in the car, but once he backed away from that first shot and threw his arms up, no other bullet should have left the barrel.
But those bullets were in the front. They got him in the front, which indicates he could have been charged.
No, I'm not saying he got shot from the front. I'm saying once he backed away from the car.
Okay, gotta go. Here's the
Sorry.
Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. And I just happened to notice that the Dow is way up today.
Oh, good.
So
It goes up, it goes down, Kelly.
I know.
It goes up, it
I
goes
know.
down.
That's kind of hard to take sometimes, you know.
Oh, is it?
You just
now you miss it.
But
Now
the folks
you
at
miss
Waddell
it.
& Reed can help you handle that.
They can.
They really can.
Laura Nelson, if she can handle you, she can handle anyone. Anyone.
Well, hey, we're going to go for lunch this Friday with Ray
Mm-hmm.
Massey and his lovely wife, which I happen to remember. Ray, if you're listening, I forgot to prepare a letter for him, but I'll do that today.
Oh, good.
So,
Yes. So that
Stupid
should
me.
be a lot of fun. And tomorrow, I'm going to be on Rise and Shine.
oh, you are again?
Yes, again.
What would they do without you, Jill?
I don't know. What can I say?
Holy smokes.
So we're going to talk
Are you on the
about...
payroll yet?
No.
Well, maybe you should talk to him about
I
that.
should. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the reason I'm going to be on. The
Oh,
reason I'm going to
okay.
be on is about healthy school lunches, what you can pack in, some products you can get at the store. I know not everyone makes lunch, but there's things that you can bring and things you can pack it in and all sorts
Well,
of fun stuff.
I think more and more kids are having to take packed lunches now because Michelle Obama made it illegal for them to buy anything,
Stop.
enough food at the schools. So
Yeah,
there
we
you
should
go.
have obese kids. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We should all be for obese
It's
children.
all the school
So
lunch's fault.
It's, actually, it's going to be a crisis someday. So anyway, every little bit helps. So I almost
Every
said
little bit
hurts.
what?
Helps. But anyway, tune in, Rise and Shine tomorrow. I think I'll be on like 6:20.
Oh, my
So
gosh. You're
it's
really
very
going to have to
early.
get up.
It's
You're going to
early.
have to get your cat up.
Now I'll tell Gracie, please wake me up at
Yeah.
like 3 in the morning
And
now.
she won't.
No, she won't. Now she'll sleep in. Then she'll be like, why are you waking me up?
So, hey, if you would like to try to get a free lunch with Kelly and Jill, go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on the link and fill out the information, and you might be one of the lucky ones for August, like Ray Massey and his wife were for July.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go to have lunch at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center. We'll take a ride in the limo from here at the Radio Ranch down there and then back again. It's always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Jill just loves to roll down the window and hang out the window saying, "Hi, I'm Jill Scheme. I'm Jill Scheme."
Yeah, I just hang out the roof. Actually, the roof doesn't open, does it?
It doesn't have one of those sunroofs.
No, that would be fun.
It's a good thing, or you'd be hanging out that.
It's like in the movie Big, when he'd get out of there and look out. I was like, oh, this is great. Anyway, it'd be fun. It's fun.
We'll have Steve Millington tomorrow.
And Grant Loebs.
And Grant Loebs. Going to be a busy day tomorrow, so we'll see you then. Have a good one. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.